expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolutionary Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we introduce your host.
Hello, my friends, Evolutionary EEARTS Family. Thank you guys for joining me once again. So give a call in. It's 614-400-5835. Again, it's 614-400-5835. And let's see what you guys want to talk about today. There's a lot to talk about, a lot of things happening out there. So obviously we have the California fires going on, and that's one of the major topics, that we could talk about. And as I've been sharing in the videos, it feels like to me, most of you guys don't think these are natural. Most of you guys think these are being caused by what we call DEWs, directed energy weapons. Is that what you believe? Do you want to share what you think is causing all these fires? And again, welcome everybody to Evolutionary Energy Arts, and give a call in at 614-400-5835. Again, 614-400-5835. And let's see what you guys want to talk about, whether you want to talk about any of the earth changes going on. We do have our first caller coming in. We also talked a lot about health and nutrition and fasting today in this morning's video. Hello, caller. Thank you for calling in. And who do we have with us?
Elizabeth.
Hi.
From Trinidad and Tobago.
Hi. How you doing, Elizabeth? How's it down there today?
Well, it's not good really, because my people down here don't understand anything. My people are backwards in they study religion more than spirituality.
And you're from Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, I am. I'm a usual caller, but what happened to me last week, my link got locked down, so that's why I wasn't able to call in. And I saw last week also that you had a lot of problems with yours.
Oh, yeah.
So I wasn't going to.
No, and I've been seeing it with all the people that I watch, all the YouTubers as well. They're all experiencing problems right in the middle of doing their thing. So I don't know if it's...
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, interference, or if this is part of the magnetosphere, declining and problems with the satellites. Hard to say.
Exactly, sir. I am missing Aisha. What happened to Aisha?
Oh, Asia. I was just talking to her today.
Yeah, Asia.
Yes,
Asia.
Asia does.
Remember?
Yeah, she's very good. She does a lot of different things. She's an artist as well, and so she's got a really big project going on right now where they're doing a rehab on an old RV that they're going to make completely green and self-sufficient with, all the best stuff from, solar heating and solar lighting. And they're totally redoing it. So she's working on a project there, and then she has a lot of other things she's doing as well. But I did speak to her actually this morning, and she.
Let Asian know for me, please. That remember she gave us 2 days a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Concerning the energies.
Right.
When one of her first date is correct, something is going to happen big on that day. The first date she gave us.
What do you foresee happening?
The first date that she gave us, that date is correct.
Yes, she has been right on. Do you have any feelings on what you think is going to happen?
Yes, the incoming massive wave by the two energies, by the masculine energy and the feminine energy. That is going to happen on the first date. The wave is going to come.
Do you think it's going to take out the whole grid? Do you think it's that big wave?
No, not almost as big as yet as the second one, but the first one incoming is gonna touch. But as I said, there are two sets of people on the rim, chosen and unchosen. It is going to affect the unchosen ones, not us. The first wave is gonna do damage to the unchosen people. So Asia is correct on the first wave.
Well, I'll definitely share that with
She's
her.
spot on. Let her know she's spot on.
Yeah, she was right on too about. She was talking about breathing problems with the air. She was talking before about these type of issues, which we've had now with the red tide and the fires as well. So, and then she was talking about Indonesia too, which has been hit now pretty hard. So, yeah. Well, maybe we could get her back on. And, I would love it if Asia, if you are listening out there, please do give a call in because everybody would love to hear from you.
Please, somebody asked me a question from chat. If it's our special time to do any meditation, I hope that person is in chat right now and they are listening. If don't have any really special time to do your meditation, meditation comes from when you start to seek for your inner self and getting into spirituality. In your time frame, like if you feel like you cannot sleep during the night, you'd go into meditation. Because that is when your spiritual realm energy is connecting with you. Somebody in chat asked me that question a couple of weeks ago. So I'm just answering them. Meditation comes from your inner self.
Yes, yeah, good point.
For Asia.
Very good point,
I'm
yep.
happy she started the EEA family.
We are too, we are too.
There's a lot of things going to happen, Michael. This month is going to be really, some people might call it catastrophic, but I won't call it catastrophic because as I say already, once you're into the spirituality, you are protected. If you're not into that part of your life, then you're totally unprotected for what is going to happen this month. This month is a serious month for the feminine energy and the masculine energy.
We could feel it. It's definitely building up, and many have talked about that. You know, August and into the first part of September is definitely a tough period. We know there's a lot of things coming.
This month.
Mm-hmm.
This month is the month. It's for the peak month for spirituality.
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea to get back into a regular meditation or a qigong routine or yoga. It's all those things will help you clear the energies and help you just progress spiritually.
That's a fact. And I saw you mention something about Yellowstone. I saw one of your videos today.
Uh-huh.
And I saw where you mentioned something about Yellowstone. And everybody is missing the point with Yellowstone. Yellowstone is a super weapon for the realm, for spirituality realm. Yellowstone is gonna be fully activated. Whether anybody likes it or not, or they are sweeping it under the carpet, Yellowstone is a weapon. And it's gonna activate fully. And those people in Utah right now, who is smelling the egg for a stench, that's sulfur and organite mix they're smelling. Something is gonna happen there. That's why so much earthquakes are happening all around the realm right now. On the back of your dollar, I'm gonna say a few things very quickly. On the back of your dollar, you know your currency, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
On the back of your dollar, you saw a signature sign with an eye on the back of your dollar. I heard a lot of people arguing about the shape of the earth. I want people to understand. The shape of the earth is not a shape of the earth by itself. The earthly realm, above it is the number 3 realm. Above the earthly realm is the angelic realm. That's the number 2 realm. And above the angelic realm is the eternal realm. That's the number 1 realm. The back of the dollar is the shape of the realms. The
Right.
back of the dollar with the all-seeing eye at the top. The all-seeing eye is the eye in the eternal realm of the Creator. That dollar has the shape of the earth attached to it. That's the 3 realms there together. And they are separated by crystalline energy. The ceiling above us is crystalline. If you look up when you finish meditation, if you look up in the realms, you will see things that are there to be seen. We have no planets, Michael. Michael, people saying we have planets up there. There are no. You could remember the story from Garabandal, Spain, with that little 12-year-old girl known as Lucy.
Yeah, Lucia. Lucia, yep.
Right. If that story tells us when the I am energy came into physicality. Remember Lucy used to have a conversation with her over a couple of months? And when she used to feel like she floating on air and all those other things. And on the last day, they say it had a miracle of the sun.
Right.
Remember that clearly?
Yeah, I do. I do remember all those.
Right. Well, they claim, everybody claimed, the 70,000 they claim, that the energy, the feminine energy, took the sun from the atmosphere and bring it close to the earth, and the sun was dancing. That is not the sun. Everybody keeps saying that's the sun. If that's what I told you the last time. If we keep using the wrong negative names, we will never knew what sort of energy we are dealing with. That's not the sun. That's the spear in the sky. And remember long ago, when soldiers used to fight war, they used to have a shield in their hand and they have a sword. Remember that?
Right.
Right. Well, Archangel Michael carries the sword. That shield up there belongs to Archangel Michael. He's the protector for the realm. When you finish meditation, as I told you the last time, and you look up into the realm, if you happen to look closely, I'm talking about your pineal gland now, right? Once your third eye is open, you will be able to see King Archangel Michael beyond the shield. But he has to allow you to see him. A lot of people running around and say they are opening their third eye. It is wrong. King Archangel Michael will open your third eye if it feels it necessary to open that third eye to allow you to see your danger. He is the one who is responsible for opening your third eye.
Well, that's interesting, very interesting information. I have 3 other people on hold right now, but thank you so much for calling in again and sharing with us.
No problem. Have a blessed evening.
You too. Stay safe down there.
Take care of it. I will. Talk to you again.
Okay, take care. So a lot of interesting stuff going on with that call as well. And we go on to our next caller. Hello, who do we have with us now?
It's Ray Ray.
Ray. How you doing, Ray?
I'm doing fantabulous, living the dream.
That's a beautiful thing, brother.
Made you giggle. Anyhow, how you doing?
Doing good. Doing real good. So what do you want to share with us tonight?
I don't know, just a typical positive message, just about love. I mean, I finally found this is kind of complicated, but my karmic twin flame ordeal is finally over, and now I get my real one. So tomorrow, coincidentally, she arrives in North Carolina, and being kind of resonating with the Lyrian race, meow, she is coming on the Lion's Gate.
There you go.
So imagine that.
Imagine that. And, for those out there who don't know, would you explain the Lion's Gate?
Well, it's going to be an amplification, more or less, speeding up the ascension process. That's pretty much all I'm going to be able to speak out on that. Because as being creator-minded, I want to make sure it's resonating completely, because you have to be careful with all the information that is out there. The enemy, or however you want to see it, does put out info for people to run wild with, and you just have to use your own discernment with what resonates with you. Everybody's love story is a different love story. It may not be a twin flame. It may be simply the fact that you love church, or you love people, or you love art. We all speak a different language. Mine is God. I've come to find out that my love language has always been God, first and foremost. And then Jesus was my first true love, and now, I'm starting to understand that it basically comes down to that. But Lionsgate is, let's just say, you think the moons were amplifiers, you think Mars was an amplifier, just wait and see. And I'm in love. You guys saw the Eye of Ra. Ray, Ra.
Yes. Yeah,
Isn't that
we did.
coincidental?
We did.
Mm-hmm.
We
It
did.
just
Very,
goes
very cool.
about that way, you know what I mean? Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. I think it's your energy, Michael.
Yeah. Yeah, we did, and it's everywhere really, and it's so cool because the energies are getting stronger all the time, and I do energy work on a pretty regular basis, so I could tell when things are amping up, and they're just continually amping up more and more and more.
Love is in the air.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, there's a massive mood swing all over social media. It's coming from every angle, people. It doesn't matter really what, it's coming from every angle, because that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take coming from every single angle to break down everybody's. Let me go about this a little. Let me tread lightly here. Since we're all creators and we're all manifesting realities, it's going to come from every angle, because we're all collective. We're all in this together. Now, some good news, Michael, is I figured out what the highest self is. Consider this. The word higher, meaning there's a level. There's levels. It's higher than something. Well, deductive reasoning says there's something higher than the higher self, is there not?
Yeah.
Just the word in itself, higher.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I figured out through just being and thinking that if we have a Christ collective, Christ consciousness, then we have a universal collective, then we have a collective back home in Andromeda. What about the multiverse collective? So becoming aware of that in itself, you talk about next level kind of stuff. Earth shattering, shakes the whole house. It shook the whole apartment. So, good times, brother. Good times.
It's always a pleasure talking to you, Ray, because you're so positive. You're always so upbeat and so positive. You're nothing but love, and you have a fan club that's going in the Evolutionary Energy Arts Family. You do know that.
Woohoo! Well, I'm coming to Florida, people. I want to meet everybody. I want to hear your story. I want to hear what makes you tick. We all do. That's part of this whole process. Here the last week or so, everybody was going to the next level. They're identifying with everything. And if you know the concept, you're me, U-R-M-E, you're me, you'll understand that we are all each other. This is multidimensional. Dude, it goes deeper than the deepest ocean on the biggest planet in the known next door neighboring universe. It's so complex. It'll take eternity to figure this out. That's the whole point. But you're right. It's because I'm in love. I'm in love with me first. Because loving me, I'm able to love the creation that God created me. You see what I'm saying? I'm loving the creation. He created me, and I love me because I love him for making me. You see how that works together? And I was at church today, and I heard the message. The message was beautiful. You love God and work from there. Yes, but you can't love your cat. You can't love anything until you love yourself. And that's why everybody's spinning out with guilt, shame, love, guilt, shame, love, guilt, love, guilt, love, guilt. It's just constant cycle. Is because what we believe is false. You gotta love yourself in order to love everything, because God created you in His image. Whatever that, God equals love. Love equals truth. They're all the same thing. It's like a three-pointed triangle. Patience, love, and let me think about this one. I want to make sure I say this right. I'll come back to that. But it's been intense, dude. And being like, here's the next level kind of thing, Michael, I have to do. And this was hard. This was hard. My twin flame is like, hey, we're not allowed to, do do anything sexual, because of the purity aspect of it, because sexual desire is probably the most powerful force in the universe. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And in order to purify that in myself is the hardest thing, because I'm very like that naturally. I'm a redhead. I mean, come on. And in order to conquer that, I had to trust in love in the first place. So I'm having to go through this whole purifying, even being who I am, which is, it doesn't really matter. I'm Ray. I've come all the way back. I've went all the way to the identity of Prime. I've went all the way to the identity of from Osiris to John the Baptist. I mean, we've once you understand your past lives, things start ticking. Once you can open your mind to simply be open-minded, open that box that everybody likes to cram all this stuff. That's the whole concept of the 3D, a 3D box. If it doesn't fit in that box, people don't believe it. That's the whole concept. But once you become open-minded, you start peeling back the edges of that box and letting the universe in. It's just, all this is, people, is simply the Matrix. We limited ourselves to come here to experience in the third dimension. Tangible, touchable, your sight, your senses, all those, to bring you to an understanding, the deepest understanding. We went to the lowest frequencies to have this tangibleness, to understand it all. That's the whole point. But people are just forgot. They got caught up in this 3D reality being the only 3D reality, because that's been shoved down our throats. But it's so much bigger, people. It's so much more beautiful. This world, because this playground here becomes the most beautiful thing in creation because of that. Earth is the center of this galaxy. This one, this universe, Morales. But it's not, it goes so much deeper than that. This is just a mirror image of the universe back home. And people are like, what, this dude is crazy. Am I? Am I truly? Is being totally, completely in love without fear, without shame, without guilt, without judgment. Is that crazy?
You surprise me every time I talk to you more and more as to just how much you get it. And it's just a pleasure. It's like I have so much love for you, and I know so many of us do. And thank you for sharing that beautiful, positive message.
Right on, man. One love, baby. One love. We're bringing sexy back. We're bringing it all back, because, it's time. It is time, people. Either get with it and lean into the love wave, the tidal waves of love, or you learn how to swim. Either way, you're going to be covered in love. God's love.
It's a beautiful thought, brother.
It is. It's truth. Love you, man. You guys have a wonderful night. Namaste.
Namaste. Much love, man. Take care. So that is our very own Ray. He is unique, and we love him. There's no other way around it. He is something else, and he gets it. He really gets it. He gets that bigger picture. And the bigger picture is ultimately there's a oneness. We're all one. Hello, caller. And who do we have with us now?
Hi, Hi, Michael. This is Lisa from Northport.
Hi, Lisa. Nice to talk to you. How are you doing, sister?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
Doing good, doing great. We have all our family here, and it's a beautiful thing.
It really is. It's wonderful how we can gather from all across the world on live radio. It really is. And how you can reach so many people at once. And I just wanted to call in and kind of give everybody a little bit of encouragement. For anybody who's listening, I am one of the family members in Michael's area, and we had a energy or evolution energy art family gathering a couple of weeks ago out near the beach of Nokomis, and it was just such an uplifting day. And I want to encourage people in all points of our listening community to try to get together and gather with each other. I'm telling you that when we got together, it was just totally awesome. The energy together is so wonderful. The energy exchange between people who were originally totally strangers. I mean, Michael, first of all, when I met these people, they didn't feel like strangers. They felt like kindred spirits. Do you know what I'm saying? Who I had known somehow all my life, you know? And then to be able to find a community of people who can actually discuss the happenings in the world that so many other people are just totally blinded to. And to be able to discuss them without fear, without negativity, but with a positive belief that we can adapt, we can change, and that perhaps we are even called to help our other brothers and sisters to rise above this, somehow to make it okay if we can somehow bond together and help one another. So anyway, that's basically why I'm calling in tonight, is to encourage your listeners to try to meet up, try to go ahead and get organized and get this local family rolling. The bond that we created between each other in one afternoon was so amazing that I can't imagine how it's going to grow with additional meetings.
Oh yeah, it's going to be amazing, and it is really growing. I mean, the bond that exists there is like a permanent bond too, and you know, it's one of those things where I've envisioned at times seeing a actual community, and I think my problem is I don't know where, but I do see an actual community, and I wish, I mean, if I was well off, I would buy land and I would set up all sorts of earth bag homes and invite all of our family to come and live there with me. You know, that's really what I would do.
It's funny because I've actually had visions of that myself. I've had visions of that. Earth bag homes in a community with everything as far as farming, as rainwater collection, solar power collection, even bonding with perhaps, since I'm an older woman, I may not be as useful to the labor like as of producing an earth bag home. But boy, I would be so interested in learning how to, say, spin wool or spin cotton, how to loom, you know, work a loom and weave clothing, or how to throw pottery how to get back some of these old artisan techniques that could be so useful in a community where we were going back to the old ways.
Exactly. We're going to be going back to a tribal sort of living one way or another. It's going to come. It's going to be inevitable. So it's good to definitely bond together with people that really actually feel like family, and then support each other, grow together, and learn together. And it's just a matter of, finding those people. So just for everybody that's out there, everybody that's like in the chat rooms and all, go ahead, and if you want to, share where you're at. So just if you feel like letting people know where you're at, put down your city and state, and if you want to put down an email address for people to get in contact with you, that would be fine too. If you feel like sharing and taking it to that other level, I have been gathering names and areas. It's a slow process, but I do want to speed that along, because like the afternoon that we had was just fabulous, and really it made permanent friendships. I mean, more than friendships. There's family now that's kind of inseparable, and so it's a beautiful thing to all of a sudden have people that you can't imagine not being in your life anymore, and that you view as just completely family, and you're going to go to another level, and just really work together. And that's really what we have to do in these times. It's all about coming together. It really is. It's how are we going to react to these times, and are we going to pick each other up? Go ahead, Jay.
It was as if there was, and I truly believe this, the bonding that took place that day was just not a normal social bond. I truly believe in because I'm empathic, but I totally believe that it was a divinely induced spiritual bond. I believe the universe's hand was in that, or the Creator's hand was in that bond of bringing us together. I know that at one point I had told you that I would enter into this no fear, that I believed that it was synchronicity that would bring us together, and that we would have angelic protection and leadership and guidance. And I absolutely now believe that. This is a blessed movement. And I just want to tell you that. And thank you for starting it. Thank you very much for starting it.
Well, thank you for being part of it and being part of the family. I couldn't imagine having this family without you there too, Lise.
Thank you very much, Michael. Okay, well, I will let you go. I just wanted to encourage other listeners, please get out there and bond with the people close to you. And I have even suggested to like-minded friends of mine, across the country, that they contact you. Okay? Because I believe they should be a part of this group also. Okay, namaste, best wishes, love you dearly, God bless you.
Love you too.
Make room for somebody else, hon. All right, bye.
Bye, Elise, take care.
Thank you.
That was an awesome call. And who do we have with us now? Okay, nice to be speaking with you. And so this is Gail from Maine.
Yes. And I will. Am I on?
Yes, you are on.
Okay, good enough. I wanted to just say that I have really enjoyed listening to everyone talk about the need to come together and share our awakening and build a community. Right now, however, I'm feeling a great deal of outrage, and I'm just wondering how we can channel that for change as a community. I mean, in California, half of the people in California are questioning the source of those wildfires. Half of them. I read that today. And in Hawaii, we've got a hurricane, a volcano, and wildfires going on all at the same time. And you know what we're hearing on the MSM? That it's the, quote, new normal. Well, that is such friggin' bullshit. The new normal. It angers me to no end to hear them try to spin it as anything normal. Anything normal. And I am outraged. And if you've got half of a state that is questioning this, why can't we bring it to another level where people are actually taking action of some kind? I just don't get it.
No, I totally understand, and I think it's even more than that, honestly. I think most people think it's definitely directed energy weapons. And, you know, I mean, I was watching today, I had like 4 different people out there send me videos about this where you could clearly see a flash and then the fire starts. And, you know,
Yeah,
it's pretty
that too.
obvious. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. I agree with you, and yeah, that's the question. So what do we do? I mean, do we march in the streets and say we know what you're doing? Is that what it takes?
I don't think that protests of the past are going to do the trick. As a matter of fact, unfortunately, I think I'm come to the belief now that we need an even higher level disaster to hit. And maybe that's what they're planning. I don't know. But it's like that old mythology of the Native Americans. Not until the last tree has been cut down will we know what's happening, you know? Will we be able to acknowledge the reality? Because the level of denial is just so massive, and the people in power are working overtime to make sure we stay there. But only a few hours of research on the internet will show you that it is directed energy weapons at the very least, along with other, weaponized climate change devices, you know?
Yeah.
And nobody's doing anything.
No. I mean, obviously, we could always, you could write to your congressman, go that route. That doesn't ever really seem to do anything. And, it's just, what do you do besides go to the streets? And, how do we let them know that we know and that we're serious? You could hit them economically. People could just refuse to pay their taxes, I guess. I don't know what else we could do.
Well, remember in the 80s, the Earth First, where they would, count spikes in trees? I never thought that was right, but I really wonder if something along those lines, like throwing a bucket of paint at somebody, would be something that we could do. I know one thing we can do, because in some cities and towns in Northern California where they've rolled out 5G, there is a level of outrage and protest among the residents, and it hasn't borne any fruit yet, because the lawyers get out and bite and bite it back. But all I know is that local level, and just bring it up to the state level, and maybe something. But a bucket of paint wouldn't hurt either. That's all I got to say. And thank you for your channel.
Well, thank you so much for sharing and your call.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Okay, caller, you are on the air. And who do we have with us now? Are you still there, caller?
Yes, I'm still here. How's it going?
Good. And who do we have with us? You have Michael.
Hi, Michael. My name is Nedzaya.
And what would you like to talk about?
Actually, what you guys talking about right now about the California fires, I'd like to talk about more towards. Yes, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yep, we have you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what I would like to talk about was the grand solar minimum. Actually, the thing is, I live in California, and I've been watching this very closely for many years, and I actually started to see that there's a lot more of it actually being naturally made, and the way we can actually try to understand how can this even be possible is because of the grand solar minimum that we're going through right now. What's going on is the sun is technically, and I believe you've actually talked about this several times already, how the sun in a sense is going into hibernation mode. With this in mind, our geomagnetic and our ionosphere is becoming weaker. Even though we're getting less radiation from the sun, the actual geomagnetic and electromagnetic energy is actually penetrating to a lot easier. Now, what I noticed this year in my plants is it literally looks like a whole classroom of children just came around in my bushes, and with what do you call those what do you call those the magnifying glass. It literally looks like the leaves were burnt that way, and that never happened before in the 2 years I've been living here. This is the third summer I've been living here. So this goes to show you also, another thing I noticed that the heat came at different times. Another thing is another person I know very closely, my family, connected to Yaqui Indians, so they watch the weather very closely, and they noticed something different in Arizona, that now it only rains most of the times in the mornings, and that's something that never happened before, and that's what's causing odd floods to happen heavier than before. So this is why I'm hoping that some people get the understanding to try to look more into these natural causes that are really happening, and that way they have a little less fear of things that we technically truly have no control over.
Yeah, well, I have heard from so many people, and not just even from out west, like also in the Mideast, I mean in the Midwest rather, about the same thing with, the trees, the plants, they're all getting kind of burned, and it's just not typical and not normal. It's not like it's necessarily drought related, it's more like it's the UV coming down and actually, killing the plants.
Yes, and I believe you mentioned it before. If not, might have been Diamond from Oppenheimer mentioned how Mr. MBB33 actually does good readings on the UV rays.
Yes.
He does that daily. That's a person you guys can check out, and you'll see how much is actually changing at a drastic rate, which is not normal, yes, but it, for the most part, when you look at it in a scientific fashion, you will see that actually it is natural when you look at the cycles that has been going on for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And I've been studying all cultures from all over the world for over 2 decades now, and somehow, some way, they all correlate to, a warning of some sort of how we must stick to the old ways and, in a sense, watch the stars so that we can see what season is coming up and this and that, so that we don't have to rely on certain things, and we're more interdependent and less independent on certain, systems, if you may.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. So, I do think that, there are natural causes for some of these fires for sure, but I do think also, there really is damage done that is not consistent with what a normal house fire can do.
Yeah.
So some of it, I've had, some people say, well, they're taking the opportunity to go ahead and test, lasers and stuff because of the fires, and just testing weapons.
Yeah, and I don't like to get into the conspiracy theories, and I'm not saying you're doing so, but here's one thing where I do agree where some of it is okay, could possibly be, I should say, energy directed. But with this in mind, some of it is energy directed. I was trying to think like, okay, what would be why would it be, what would be their cause of them causing this havoc? And the only thing I can think of is, well, they're trying to, in a sense, push us out so that when this mini ice age hits full force in less than 2 years, we'll have less chance of literally regrouping and thriving, because that's what they think. But it's not going to happen. We'll figure out ways. This has happened before, over and over and over in different cycles. And each time we have thrived as human beings, we have found ways to commune and come into one unit of energy, unity. So we will find a way to thrive. But yes, thank you for this opportunity to hopefully find a little bit of balance so that some people can actually have an interest and maybe look into what this grand solar minimum may be. And if it truly is, we're going into, it's actually cooling off. The planet is not actually warming up. And the way we were going to know is we're going to see a lot more tornadoes, slimmer ones, but a lot more, meaning more consistent ones, more like 2 or 3 within a 2-mile radius, more hail in places where there shouldn't be, and those fire tornadoes. They're happening everywhere, and especially in California. Well, guess how does the tornado happen? With cold and hot air mixing. Well, obviously the fire is fire. That's heat. Well, that goes to tell you that the air is coming in at a very alarming rate with a lot of coldness to it. And that's why there's all these fire tornadoes happening all over the places now, more frequent than before. And we're going to see a lot more dust devils. That's how you'll know, because the air is actually a lot more cold than usual. But there's less protection, so more radiation coming in through, even though it's weaker, it's still penetrating through, and that's why there's going to be a lot more crazy natural weather. Even though because I understand Tesla very, very well. This is why I don't completely neglect the fact that it might not be man-made, because Mr. Tesla left us the blueprint, and yes, we can change planets very easily with some, metaphysics.
Exactly. So, I mean, everything, there's the thought that, maybe all of this is actually man-made, if not man, then maybe something slightly higher. But it definitely could be. I mean, the technology is there. And, they have technology that's way ahead of what we've been shown. But thank you so much for your call.
Can I give you one more form of technology that we have as human beings that costs nothing? It comes from Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton. They got together. They came up with this formula after they researched all kinds of studies of how group meditation / prayer, which is technically the same thing, just different forms, all it takes is the square root of 1% of the population. So in 1 million, all you need is 100 people to get together, and all 1 million will get affected with whatever the intentions were there. But the thing is we got to be frequent with it, consistent with it. So that's the only thing. So what you're doing, getting all these people together, these family members, these beautiful brothers and sisters of love and light, thank you for doing that, because it really is making a huge difference.
Well, thank you so much, caller, and thank you for sharing, brother.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, everybody. Love you all. One love, one light. Put together, our light will shine much brighter.
That's beautiful. One love, my friend. Namaste.
Peace.
That was a great call, a really good call, and that is so true. And Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton are awesome. I love those two guys. They have so many good ideas. That's exactly the type of stuff we need to do. And when we do our get-togethers too, now it's just been about getting to meet people and get to know people, but we can branch out and start doing some healing on each other, and then sending out intentions for healing the planet, healing areas, and that's how it will grow. Hello, caller. Thank you for joining us. Who do we have with us now?
We have Conrad.
You are on the air.
Okay. Hello. I just stumbled upon this channel. I agree with everything that you've been putting out in the wave, but what are we doing? What's
Well, for one, it's just basically waking people up, to everything that's happening so they could basically prepare, get organized, and also band together and just realize what's happening. But there's so many ways to prepare. Obviously you could prepare physically, with, getting supplies and all that, but it's also, mental, emotional, and spiritual preparation as well. And then also just also try and have a positive effect on each other and on the whole of our society, as that last caller was saying. It's a numbers game. It's like the 100th monkey. So if you get enough people, to change the negativity into positivity and to actually reach out and work together, then who knows what we can accomplish.
Yeah. What are we preparing for? Are we like a party or like Thanos or something?
As far as everything that you see out there?
Yeah.
So have you watched any of the videos?
I was in the middle of one of them where you were talking about the Gulf of Mexico.
Uh-huh.
I think it was really interesting.
Yeah, just
Like I was from that area, like my dog and stuff.
There's definitely a lot of earth changes going on, which we see everywhere, all over the globe. Well, thank you so much for calling in and sharing, caller. And you can't deny the earth changes. There's so many of them. We see them, and we could see the intensity increasing. But getting back to what that other caller was talking about, we want to band together and we want to use our awareness and our intention and our positive thoughts in order to, create a positive outcome. And, it's so easy to get down. There was a comment today where one of the viewers, said that she was really kind of depressed about it. And just, it's like, why would I want to improve my health or whatever? If we're going to all die soon, then why don't we just party until we're dead? That basically. But, that's part of the bigger picture is, I guess your belief in what life is and why are we here. I personally think that this is an opportunity to basically lift each other up, to share that which we can help others with, and to be a positive influence and have a positive effect on others. I think we come here to kind of test ourselves and to learn. I do think that we are in some sort of matrix, and I do think that obviously we have been controlled in so many ways by the powers that be that want to keep us in the dark about our true potential. And, which is sad, but it's all about those in power maintaining power. And they, of course, don't want to let go of their power, so they try to do everything they can to keep us in the dark, and there's been so many ways that they've done that. But we'll definitely rise above, and we could see it, and we could see what's happening in this family as it grows and it shares together. And we do have a few minutes before we go to break. If anybody else wants to give a call in at 614-400-5835, and we could see what you guys want to discuss. As the other caller was talking about, a lot of the California wildfires could actually be natural. But as was explained in so many of those videos, there's certain temperatures that different things melt at. And we're seeing houses that are totally gone, where it's like cement blocks are no more. Glass melts at over 2,000 degrees, and the glass is gone. It's melted. And, same thing with metal as well. So this reminds me of 9/11 and the Twin Towers. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
This is Bobby.
And what would you like to talk about?
People, whenever I go out to eat, right, they keep putting poison in my food.
So we got the trolls coming out. We love those trolls, don't we? It's so amazing because so many trolls are, I wonder if they're actually working for, some of the quote-unquote the man, so to speak. You got to wonder, who is actually, is it just sort of that mentality that you just have kind of a destructive mentality? a chaotic mentality, or is it really, is there a purpose behind it? Because I see a lot of the ones that go in and, do thumbs down on the videos and make negative comments. They're like fake accounts. There's nothing on their accounts. They just basically set up a YouTube account, and then that's pretty much it. It's got nothing to it, no substance, so it's almost like they set it up just to be a troll. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Who do we have with us?
I am working for the man.
See, there you go again. But you know what it is? It shows, a lot of like what's going on too with the censorship and all. So yeah, I mean, the way those houses have been burnt and just melted, it's just not normal, and you're not going to get that type of temperature from a typical house fire. As we go to break, thank you guys. Hold in there. We'll come to the second hour.
Enter into a world unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host, the Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays, midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
This is Barbara DeLong, host of Nightlight Radio, inviting you to join me on a cosmic journey, exploring a metaphysical montage of spiritual material, covering everything from the mundane to the magical, UFOs to unicorns, and everything in between, including spiritual readings for those who seek enlightenment. Nightlight provides you with equal measure of light, love and laughter, insight, wisdom, and inspiration. Monday nights, 10 to 12 p.m. Eastern, right here on Studio B, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining me once again, Evolutionary Energy Arts. And so somebody had said, what is energy arts? So the whole idea was sharing with everybody when I first started the channel how these energy energy medicine and energy techniques such as Reiki, Qigong, yoga, pranic healing, polarity therapy, all sorts of different art forms can actually change our DNA and change us. So they can not only heal us from many, many different physical problems, emotional problems, mental problems, but also actually change us and help us to evolve into something new, something more positive, something more in line with our original blueprint. So that was my original thought. And as the channel has progressed, it's developed more towards the earth changes part of it, but we do always keep in there the other traditions. And it is definitely a conspiracy channel as well, because face it, conspiracies are real. That's one of the things we've learned now, is that, hey, all of us that were thinking about things a long time ago, that you would have been completely thought you were crazy, such as chemtrails. I think the majority of the public now believes that chemtrails are real. I would say at least 50% of the people out there think 9/11 was an inside job. And now we have over 50% of the people thinking that California fires are due, directed energy weapons, lasers. So it is what it is, and that's how it's developed over time. And whether we call ourselves conspiracy theorists or we're truthers, there's definitely a lot going on. And, we're all blue pill people. So we've pretty much decided we're going to take the blinders off and just face whatever comes and look it straight in the eye. And, it's so hilarious how people think things like yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong are evil, when studies show that these things can have such a positive effect on your life. They could lower blood pressure. They could take away anxiety. They could help you with so many different things. They have such health benefits. And really, it's just conditioning that keeps people away from it. But this is part of the time, because the old paradigms, they got to go. Look at where we are. The paradigms that we've seen and we've lived in, those paradigms have gotten us into this reality that which we're experiencing, and it could be a lot better than it is. It's very fascinating to see how fearful people could be of things like yoga or Qigong, Tai Chi, meditation. People are afraid to still their mind. Be real. That is exactly what keeps you in a very tight, narrow band of reality where you are completely pliable, completely controlled, and completely going to be a sheeple and going to end up just following everything that you are told. There are many people that will tell you Jesus himself used energy healing. And, there's many people that actually believe he went to the East and studied in India and learned yoga. And so, there are many that believe that he was also taught by Babaji, who is an incarnation of Shiva, one of the Hindu gods. Hello, caller. Thank you for calling. And who do we have with us?
My name is, on the channel, it's Audit the Fed 2009. That was the year I found out about some things, but then fell back asleep. So, what actually is interesting is 2 weeks ago, I was back asleep, if you will, because where I was living, there's just too many negative projecting individuals to keep an open mind. So I stayed to myself. But 2 weeks ago, I seen an ad, if you will, or a click on it type thing on Facebook, and it was talking about the genetically engineered tick that is spreading across the United States, that they used CRISPR technology to genetically engineer it to make people allergic to red meat. And that sent me down the rabbit hole once again, and this should give hope to a lot of people. And the reason I say that is because once I went down the rabbit hole, it's only been 2 weeks, but I have seen so much of people around me that you would never think would ever wake up to any of this information, all waking up, sharing it, changing the way they're acting towards one another. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I've done, I think, a couple of videos, 2 or 3 on Lyme's disease since I've had it myself, and I've heard about exactly what you're talking about, and did touch on that subject before. And it's, for me, this was all basically, it's biological warfare that came out of Plum Island is kind of my bottom line on it. And there are definitely those that have the mindset that they want the population chronically ill, and it's that whole pharmaceutical industry that just makes so much money off of everybody being chronically ill. Just think about it. One of my friends, had cancer. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
their whole goal is to keep you focused outward, because they know if you go inward, that's when they are in trouble. That's the way that you take the whole system down, is by stop paying attention to the system. They only have guns that can point at you because the people holding the guns are still locked into the fake belief system, the things that they've been force-fed their entire lives.
That's perfectly said.
Together, just like what we're doing is what is being the change for a positive future of tomorrow for our children. This isn't just us talking. The fact that we're talking right now and there are people watching and not watching TV, that in and of itself is a powerful statement that we will be able to handle this.
Exactly. That was so well said, and definitely thank you for sharing that, because it is, and that's what's scary, is that you still have these people that are totally controlled, and like you said, they have the guns. When you think about it, think about what's going on, and if these fires are really caused by lasers being shot from the sky at countrymen, at people's fellow countrymen's houses, destroying their lives and killing people in some cases,
forcing them into more populated regions that already have the 5G network of radiation and surveillance, and the police state already in a confined area, because they're targeting, if you've noticed, everywhere around the world, not just in the U.S., they're targeting all the people that are living in rural areas outside of the big cities. None of these things are happening to big cities. Those are protected. It's the people that they don't have control over, and they don't want to put out the money to put all of the surveillance and 5G grid and everything in their neighborhood. So they'd rather just torch out and flood out and weather out and everything else, earthquake, volcano, whatever you want to call it. They'd rather drop that on somebody and force everybody to move to the populated locations so that they got more control right there. Then they can do whatever they want if you don't agree.
Yeah, so there you're talking Agenda 21, because that's all part of that plan.
Right, it all plays together, though. It's one big world push to lower our energy so that they can feed off it, basically. Because what would negativity want? It could not feed off the light. Light is the polar opposite of dark. So if they keep you dark, they can feed off your energy.
Exactly, and that's what they do. So that's where they create the hatred. And so when going back to the trolls, to me the trolls are people that are so controlled by the powers that be, because they don't understand that by putting out that negative energy, they're feeding them, because these beings feed off of negative energies, and
that's how we take our energy back. It's simple. Just stop focusing on the negative. Don't allow the negative events to trigger you through a defined belief system. Let all the fake belief systems go, and then you have an open mind to anything that happens. You won't think negatively of a situation. You'll see the situation as what it is, without saying that's good, that's bad, that's evil, that's the Lord, or whatever anybody would want to call it. It's energy. If you don't feed into it, they can't take it from you.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree with everything that you're saying. And so, let's ask ourselves, what have all of our belief systems that we've had to this point, what have they really done for us? Look at where we're at. Look at where we're at. And
it's negative.
Yeah, it's been a negative
That's all
influence.
It's done.
Exactly. It's been a negative influence, and the world has been totally kept under their control. And actually, it's getting more and more and more under their control, to the point where they won't even need humans, holding the guns soon, because it's going to be nothing but drones everywhere and robotics that won't have a problem, pulling a trigger.
Yeah, then the twisted soul. There's only needs to be one twisted soul at the keyboard to command the machines to do whatever they want.
Exactly. So it does feel like we're running out of time like that, and we have to make changes. How do we make those changes? How do we make those changes?
We do it by doing what we're doing right now, by focusing our intent, our energy, beings that we are light beings, through the eye of the observer is where reality is created. So if you focus your energy on the positive things, the love, the light, the happiness, joy, appreciation, compassion for all things, not just your family, but little ants to the birds, to the bees. Don't even get me on the bees, but yeah, if we focus all of our energy to a positive light, then they can't feed. They shrivel up and die. It's just common sense. If you can't eat, you're going to perish.
Yeah, I mean, that's the given, but I even look at like what's been achieved by some of the yogis and stuff, and think that, that might all be part illusion too. And I know that's going to get a lot of people thinking that I'm woo-woo and totally off my rocker. But hey, today's day one of a fast for me, and I'm going to see how long I'll go this time. I do believe that we are much more powerful than we realize, and I think that we've been so put in this small box, this small little cage, thinking that we're so much less than what we really are.
Well, yeah, if you align your chakras, like 2 weeks ago when I reawoke, if you will, my crown chakra blew up. Like, I can feel electromagnetic energy surrounding my crown, and my third eye just cracked, and it is just crazy. It feels really strange all the time. It's not like when I'm meditating or anything. It's just understanding that I had to drop all of the false belief systems that were holding me prisoner to a set way of thinking. Once I dropped them, it was like a bomb went off in my head. It's sometimes even unbelievable to me. If I close my eyes, that's when the power manifests, if you will, because you stop being the conscious observer and go inward and start observing what is going on within yourself. That is when everything changes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is. I love it too. I mean, I've done energy work for years, and before I did the YouTube channel, I mean, I was doing like 50 hours typically in a week of energy work. So that's a lot of channeling energy. And I noticed as I was doing that much, the energy in my fingertips went from just being that magnetic type of warmth to all of a sudden having an electrical feel, where I could feel like it was just completely electric. And that was when I noticed that I could actually get bones to move just by concentrating on it, and actually send energy in, and people would basically get a chiropractic adjustment without me doing any pressure. Just simply the energy would move and realign the spine. But it's that intense. And that time frame, something happened up in my pineal gland, and my head felt extremely uncomfortable for the longest period of time, like I had a huge tumor. And then it's finally settled down. But then it changed because...
It's just that you've become accustomed to it. It hasn't settled down. We're actually increasing in energy every single day in the solar minimum. It's forcing us to come to grips with what and who we truly are. People that I know that... I'm a wildland firefighter by trade, anyway. And the firefighters that are on these fires right now in California are waking up to what dues are. And just by them waking up to what dues are, it opens their mind to other possibilities of what's going on. So they start looking into different subjects, and bam, it cracks them wide open like a coconut, because there's so much information now and so many people that want to share and actually get people to consciously shift to being more loving, more caring. It isn't just about this one lifetime that you're living. You've been through so much. It is time to finally understand that there is no other sustainable model than people in service of people.
Exactly. Yeah, well, you are a brother, for sure. I agree with everything you've said. I think it's wonderful, and thank you so much for sharing. That was a fabulous call.
Good deal. Have a good one.
You too. Namaste, my friend.
Namaste.
That was an excellent call. Great points. This week too, some other family members have reached out and met each other and just immediately became really good friends. And, two ladies that, I definitely love and think that they are part of our family for sure. And I'm glad to introduce them to each other. Hello, my friend. You are on the air. Who do we have with us?
Hey, Michael. This is Nedzaya again, calling back. I was wondering if we can talk about psychonumerology. You were talking about that a few days ago.
Sure. What in particular?
So the psychonumerology is the process in the nervous system, immune system of the human body. So, I mean, you were talking about this a few days ago, how, like, I forgot what article it was that you were reading, but it's something I would like to dissect with you, if you don't mind, because I've been studying mirror neurons for many years as well, because of neuroplasticity, because I struggled with PTSD and TBI because I was in the military and I was blown up several times. But because of that, because of the way my memory functions oddly, I got into the mirror neurons and neuroplasticity. And just a few days ago, I noticed an article that you were reading through that was mentioning the psychoneuroimmunology, which once again is the study of the interaction between psychological processes in the nervous and immune system of the human body. So in other words, healing, and truly. So I'm just wondering if we can dissect that, if you can go further into that, or you can ask me a question so that we can help the listeners to understand this, because I have a great understanding about this as well, and that really got me going when you were reading that article.
Yeah, and it could be intimidating to think of like psycho, I won't even go there again, because sometimes my brain glitches like that as well. But it could be intimidating when you look at the scientific words. But when you look at the Eastern traditions and you look at, say, Chinese medicine, all disease is basically dis-ease. It all comes out of emotions, trapped energy, things like that, stuck mental patterns as well. And I was talking to a very, very dear friend today and saying that, that person had solar plexus issues going on, which has to deal with basically self-identity, self-worth. And you find a lot of times in that case, people have had a blow. Something happens to them. A lot of times it could be, somebody cheats on you, like your husband, your wife cheats on you, or somebody, dumps you, and it really just hits your ego. And it causes those little thoughts of self-worthlessness, and that will promote like the energy of cancer. When you start getting really, really down on yourself and feeling like, I don't deserve to live, I don't deserve to be happy, I don't, those feelings are exactly the emotions that will turn into cancer in your body. And so you have to realize that dis-ease is ultimately it becomes disease. And so we have to reprogram our thoughts, and we could do that through positive affirmations. We could do it through mantras. Those are two ways that work really, really well. So, when I was sick with Lyme's, and I was wallowing in it, and I was spiraling downwards, and I was on all the chat rooms, and I was saying to people, well, my head's pounding today, and my back is killing me. I feel like I'm 86, and I'm only 30. And other people are sharing their things. And then I realized, I'm just feeding this. What am I doing? I'm just feeding this. And I'm reaffirming the disease in my mind. And that's part of the whole problem with the whole Western medical system is they give you they say, here is your prognosis and here is your disease. And so when they name it, for one, they give you a name. You have fibromyalgia, and so the prognosis for you is this. And yeah, it gets into your mind, your psychology, and it becomes your reality if you truly believe them. If that doctor told you, you know what, you're perfectly fine, chances are, oh, really? And if the doctor said, just take this, this one pill once a day for a month, you'll be fine, you probably would. So when you diagnose something and give something a name, you're giving it power. And when you tell people they only have so much time, or you're never going to do this again, you're never going to do that again, just get used to it, that is so negative, but that's their purpose. Because they want you chronically ill. That's part of the whole medical system.
Exactly, and that's where the mirror neurons comes in, because if you notice, even like the commercials on TV where it talks about, fixing depression, this and that through a pill and this and that, well, the mirror neurons, the news, everything they show us, what do you think is almost always negative, because the mirror neurons truly affect us. So, for instance, if you see a video of mine where I'm diving with dolphins, even though you're not there, you will release the same exact the chemicals from the brain, neurotoxins, everything, the endorphins that I'm releasing. The only difference is you're not physically there. But what that means is you're still getting the same benefits I am, even though you're not physically there. And that's the power of the mirror neurons. And they truly do work that simple. That's why visualization is so powerful, because once you visualize something, you hold it for 17 seconds, 17, the universe starts to listen to you. And if you keep going with that, once again, that's where prayer comes in, or meditation, and you go beyond 70 seconds, 70, then that's when this breathing hole, if you may, where our crown area is, that breathing hole we had, that soft spot we had when we were babies, well, that area, in a sense, opens up after 70 seconds, and then that's where the law of attraction, in a sense, is the best way I can put it, starts to activate. And then, you start sending out, if you may, pieces of the puzzle that you want the universe to create a reality for you to shift into sooner or later, within seconds, weeks. But that's the thing, though. We got to be careful with which for, because we never get it exactly how we visualize it. Blessings always come in disguise. Always.
Right. Yeah, the crown chakra is the key. I've noticed that because, mine's opened up to a level where it almost gets hard when I'm channeling energy for a while to stay in the body. Literally, I feel myself floating up and out of it at times. And the energy that flows through is just huge. Like, as I'm talking to you now, I talk a lot of times with my eyes closed because I just sense energy that way. I mean, I feel right now energy coming through every single chakra. Fingertips, through my palms. I feel it through my crown. I feel it through my throat. This is what I feel 24/7, 365 because of all the practicing I've done. And anybody could do this too. It's just a matter of taking the time to actually practice. And people that have opened up their chakras like this, like I could work on people, and I have worked on people and had people that had no sensitivity, never felt energy before, and because I worked on them, then all of a sudden they were sensitive, they could feel it, and eventually they were working on people themselves. But it's exactly what you're saying, and you're right on.
And here's a little secret of why you're feeling that, especially since your higher self decided for you to unconsciously voice that, is that we've got to remember, what do they tell us? The first thing they tell us when they tell us to pray or meditate is to close our eyes. Why? Because when you close your eyes, when you're in that darkness, that really is just absence of light, your pineal gland activates, which is what your creativity comes in, which means what you start to get inspired, which is what you start to go deeper, like you just mentioned. And yes, that's the key to living in state of mind as much as possible. And, I've been listening to you off and on for the past, I would say, at least 7-8 weeks now. And I noticed that you and I have sort of similarities where whether people believe it or not, I can care less, we truly walk around in theta state of mind, meaning beyond alpha. Beta is right now calculating. Alpha is just simple, mindful breathing. And then theta is where you're a little bit beyond relaxed. A good example would be a martial artist. A true martial artist that goes into nature and truly learns from nature, they're the most calmest, and you will see that they look young for the longest time, even though they have gray hair, this and that, because of the extra oxygenation that comes into the breathing that the martial arts really, it's a prerequisite of it.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, I started with the martial arts when I was 12, and when I ruptured 2 discs when I was 29, then I switched over to Tai Chi and started learning Qigong. And it was just such a perfect natural transition because I found that, while I was okay doing, hard style martial arts, it really wasn't what came naturally to me, where the energy was just something that just came so easy and natural to me, just like breathing.
Well, thank you so much, Michael, for this dissecting that we just did on this brain to body to spirit connection. It's been a pleasure once again.
Well, my pleasure, brother. Thank you so much for your contribution. Take care.
Yeah, thank you guys. Bye. Have a good night.
Good night. Namaste. So very, very good call too. And it's like I just wish people could feel what I feel, because you guys would be like, you would just be so amazed. And many of you do. Many of you out there actually do. You feel the energy all the time. And when you feel all this, then you feel the oneness. And when you feel the oneness, then there's no fear of hellfire and damnation, because that's just all stuff that's trying to keep you in line, keep you into a lower mindset, keep you into this narrow band of reality where you're just simply very easy to manipulate. And think about how easy it is to manipulate somebody like that into pulling a trigger, into going fighting a holy war somewhere, into going and blowing themselves up with a bomb vest. That's exactly the type of person that is easily manipulated. When you go within, then everything opens up. And as he was talking about going within and seeing darkness, after a while, you'll see images coming through your third eye, because your pineal gland has rods and cones just like your eyes do, and it truly is a third eye. And when it's activated, you'll see, light will start coming flashing through, and then you'll get impressions and you'll start to actually see things. And you're not going crazy, you're just increasing the range of your perception. Hello, caller, you're on the air, and who do we have with us now?
It's Shannon Ann from Orange, Texas. How's it going, Michael?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing better this week. How about yourself?
Doing really good tonight. Feel great, actually. I'm starting to hit that high. I just started a fast, so I didn't eat since I guess yesterday late afternoon or something, and starting to get into that like clarity where you feel just so damn good.
I've never fasted, so I do not know what you're talking about, but I've heard it's awesome.
It is. It's something I've done ever since I was about 10 or 12.
Really? What made you want to fast at 10 or 12?
I was brought up Catholic, and we would never have meat on Good Friday, and so I just said, I'm going to go one better. I'm not going to eat from Good Friday until Easter Sunday, and then I just kind of kept with it at times. Not all the time, but that got me started.
Cool. Hey, on that line, a couple weeks ago you had the person on about sun eating, and so I did a lot of research into that. That's a very interesting concept. Have you ever truly, have you tried that?
Yeah, and I basically do.
I did too there for a little bit. I need to get back into it, but it worked, actually.
Yeah, for sure. So like in this type of state, if you just go out and you expose yourself to the sun, now you could do sun gazing, which should only be done when the sun's very low in the horizon. It's either just coming up or just setting. Or you could also just intentionally do it through a process we call pour breathing in Qigong. So like when I'm out, and say I'll go out when we don't have red tide, I'll just lie there on the floaty and I'm inhaling, and as I'm inhaling, I'm visualizing the sunlight coming into my body through every pore, and it's energizing every cell in my body. And it's giving me energy, it's cleansing out anything that needs to be cleansed. And so doing that, honestly, I don't feel like I need sun lotion at all. Most sun lotions have toxic chemicals in them, so I would only use like a zinc oxide, something natural, only natural stuff. But honestly, I don't feel like I need it if I'm in the proper state of mind, and then I feel like I could just absorb it and take it in.
That's interesting. Yeah, I did it there for probably 2 weeks. I just haven't had a chance to with, what's all going on, me trying to move and rent a house and sell everything and get an RV and everything. But the 2 weeks that I did it, my energy level was amazing. And then I just read the connection with it, with planting your feet. And, the reason why we eat plants and plant-based diet is because of the nutrients, because it's grown in the ground. And it clicked with me. And it was like, that is absolutely, I could see how you could do that. I could see how people could literally not eat a lot of food and survive.
Well, it all comes from the sun, so the plants do the photosynthesis, and we eat the plants, or we eat the animals that ate the plants, but ultimately it all comes from the sun. And there are tales of yogis that could go underwater and not surface for literally half hour, an hour. And so they're absorbing the oxygen through their skin, and they're actually also slowing down their heart rate, their breathing to a very, very low level. So our minds could control an awful lot, and we're not encouraged to do that. And we could see why when we see people saying, yoga is of the devil or yoga is demons. This shows how the conditioning has really gotten a hold of these people, and so they're not going to experience these things because there's too much fear.
Why do you think that is? Do you think that started as kind of another way to form control of people besides just religion? That yoga is bad and not tap into your pineal gland and everything. I mean, when did this start? When did we start dumbing down humans, do you think?
It's been ongoing for a very long time. I think it goes through our entire history, honestly. But you could definitely see the control that's really came about with the Catholic Church. So
absolutely.
The Holy Roman Empire transferred over into the Catholic Church, and some think it's still kind of running the show in major ways. But when you think about it, they created a doctrine that basically gives them all the power. So you have to go to the priest and ask for forgiveness. And of course, even the king back in the day was so afraid of getting excommunicated until Henry VIII with all his wives, and then we have the Church of England starting, and the Protestant Reformation. But the problem is, from the beginning, the Bible that we have is really it's only 66 books out of hundreds of books, and there's many other books that were burned completely because they didn't want the other teachings coming out, and some of those other teachings point to a different type of reality. And a very, very different view of Jesus, for instance, than what we've been given. The whole idea of the blood sacrifice, which, think about it. I mean, God says, "Thou shalt not kill," but then He demands a blood sacrifice. How logical is that, really?
It's not. I mean, if people chose not to pick and choose which scripture they decide to follow, then they would see that the Bible, it's contradicting itself most of the time.
Yeah, for sure. And so why not try to get people away from the message, which was exactly the message we needed. Instead, get them to worship the messenger, and then again put them into a position where they could be easily manipulated and kept in fear.
Yeah. Interesting you brought up the Catholic Church. I was talking to some friends yesterday, and I found awake friends here, which is great because, years ago I wouldn't think they would be too. But they they've noticed the change in the weather because they've flooded. Their businesses have flooded like 3 times in the last couple of years because of all the floods we've had here in Texas. But they were saying a couple of years ago they were in Germany and they had gone over to look at the castles. And they were shocked when they went into the castles that they didn't see the kings of the land in pictures. Instead, it was priests. So they didn't have the kings. All it was pictured was the priests and the bishops on the walls.
Wow.
I would have thought that. I've never seen that myself, but it was interesting that they had just said that yesterday. So, yeah. Who really runs it? It's not the government, you know. Religion's always trying to hold the people down so that they can have the control. You know, we know that.
Exactly. You know, and so, you know, it's one of those things where if you go deep into scripture, you're going to end up scratching your head more often than not. And when you start going into some of the other ones, you know, there's just so much wisdom, honestly. You know, like in Taoism, Buddhism, you know, and you know, Gnosticism is the form of Christianity that was so persecuted too. And you have to ask yourself why, because Gnosticism tells you you don't need to go to a priest, you don't need to go to anybody, you need to go within, because it's about gnosis, it's about knowing, and it's about the type of knowing that only comes from within. And so you can't control somebody when they go within. You know, you have to control them through outside forces. And you do that by fear, you know, by hellfire and damnation.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you put enough times into somebody's head that they're going to go to hell for sinning, of course they're going to ask, you know, it's the whole idea of that you're going to have a pearly gate and you're going to have gold streets and you're going to see your mom and you know, I've said I was atheist. I'm spiritual. I don't believe in the Christian form of, and it was the only way I could explain to people here in Texas my beliefs. And I remember a neighbor of mine, she's like, so you don't believe in God? I'm like, no, you don't believe in heaven? I'm like, no, I don't believe in the sense of the Christianity sense of heaven. And she was like, well, don't you want to see your mom one day? And I was like, I feel my mom in everything that I do. Her energy is around me all the time. And people don't understand the concept of energy and soul. I see the big difference of people, they don't understand that like, it's the same, but they can't wrap their head around it. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, for sure.
Because the Christian, you know, religious teachings teach about the soul, and I've always, before I even discovered your group and discovered, I knew that's what it was. I didn't even listen to quantum physics. My body, my mind, I've been like this since I can remember. I knew it was energy. And I never could pinpoint what it was. I didn't study Buddhism. I didn't study all of this. But I just knew. And so finding other people is great. And learning, the deeper learning of what I know and expanding on that has been amazing. And it's opened me up a lot too.
Well, that's wonderful. And
I don't even know how to explain it. Yeah, so.
Well, I hope that sometime you make your way out this way. I'd love to have you come and join us at one of our get-togethers. If you ever do find yourself heading this way.
We're going to be heading all over, so yes, that would be amazing. So actually.
Awesome.
I don't know. So I guess that's all I wanted to talk about today. Or there's a million things, but I don't know.
Well, thank you for sharing so much, Shannon Ann.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Namaste. So another very good call there, and you know, there's actually fascinating stuff when you start getting into the Bible, honestly, but it's all, you know, it's like Cliff Notes. We have so little really compared to what is available in so many other, you know, traditions. And, you know, if you start looking at the Nag Hammadi too. But there's things that are just like, when you really, really read it, it just makes you see that, you know, take for instance, the picture of the Greek gods, right? How the Greek gods would look down on mankind and they would be gathered up in their meetings, looking down in the clouds, and talking about this person and that person. So Deuteronomy 32:7, remember the days of old, consider generations long past, ask your father and he will tell you, your elders and they will explain to you. When the Most High gave the nations their inheritance, when he divided all mankind, he set up the boundaries for the peoples according to the number of the sons of God. And that's the original translation, because you'll find in some of them it's translated sons of Israel, but that's incorrect. It's sons of the gods, basically. So it's more that talks about things that sound more like what you expect with the Greek mythologies. Hello, caller, you're on the air, and who do we have with us now?
Hi, I'm Kosal, and I've been a fan of yours for several weeks now. And I just want to say that I want to add my knowledge to you, if you don't mind. And I want to talk about the rainbow body. And I noticed that you've been educating, raising consciousness of regular people in the Western mind. And I'd like to add my knowledge to what I've been through to you. And I noticed that if people can accomplish the rainbow body, they would definitely master everything.
Exactly, yeah. Please do share, because I love this topic.
Yes, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I saw your video was live, and I don't know, was it really live or just recording live, And I was afraid it was, a recording, so I just gave it a chance and found out you're real.
Yep.
You're real. So I thank you. Well, I noticed you were talking about yogi and that some of the area of the Western conscious was very biased. Well, if they read their Bible, the Christian Bible talking about the same thing. Jesus, he turned into a rainbow body, just like the Tibetan Lama, the accomplishment. And the Buddha was preaching about the rainbow body. The middle path, it just means that the person bringing balance within the physical reality. That means by raising the consciousness, seeing everything is connected. And they don't have to focus on love, because love is never taught in the Buddhist world, but it teaches the middle path. The middle path meaning that you have the scale, like the yin and yang. Everything gotta be equal, equality, mean balance. And when everyone see equality, there is no more division. There is no more hate. There is no more love. There is no more, us and their mentality. It's only we are equal to each other. Therefore, we have unity consciousness. That's when people turn into the rainbow body. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can understand that as well. And it's realization. It's about a realization. You have to kind of go within and go deep. And there's many other parts to it as well. But go ahead and share more if you want to.
Can you stick your right hand out and let it face toward the ceiling? Watch, I'm going to do something for you. You ready?
Okay, so you said put the right hand. Okay.
Yeah, right hand and left hand. Watch this. May your right hand be manifested with a food that weigh about 200 pounds, and on your left hand, may it be weighed with a beverage, 100 pounds now. And with every second, let your right hand become more heavier and heavier with food. And on your left hand, may it become more heavier with beverage, and let it become cold now. Okay, tell me, what are you feeling on your